See, LinkedIn is like an online CV. If in today's world, if anyone wants to see, if anyone wants to hire, they go to your LinkedIn profile and they just they judge you basically. Even if you message them, don't start with "I need a job, will you help me?" or "I've been unemployed for 9 months, I need a job, just find any job," because you are a recruiter. Don't start with this. If I don't have a job today, this is how I would approach to get a job on LinkedIn. These three things. In my life, I haven't given more than 2 to 3 minutes to a resume, and not because I don't want to read it. It's just that what I want to know about the person, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I don't want to read the top half, the first half of your resume, whether it's one page or 2 pages. The first half needs to have your best information. If a person gets an A, you can't take away the fact that the person was disciplined, that person took this thing seriously, and regardless whatever he learned, whether it was ratification or critical thinking or whatever, we'll get into that. That person was disciplined, putting a cutoff when hiring on GPS. Is that good or is that bad? For me, that's bad.
Hello, guys, and welcome again with another podcast series. This time around, my guest is my special friend Umer Faruqi. I got to know of him through YouTube and LinkedIn, and we'll talk more about that. But he's the head of HR business partner for Food Panda in Pakistan currently. But more than that, he is a career coach, an influencer on LinkedIn, on YouTube. So I highly recommend you check it out. You check out his LinkedIn profile, follow it. He shares great knowledge. A lot of it, I'm inspired as well, so I get to learn a lot by that. Also, he has a YouTube channel where he does career coaching, how to get through interviews, how to search jobs, and all. And this is exactly what we want to talk to him about. So, since I've seen him doing all this stuff on LinkedIn, on YouTube, I thought it would be nice to bring him on my channel as well and talk to him about how we should go about developing in our career, looking for jobs and interview and all. So I have a set of questions, Umar, for you. But before I talk too much, I'll pass it on to you. If you can introduce yourself a bit more than what I just said, so people know you a bit better, and then we'll move into the career questioning or career coaching part of it. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Beroz. You're kind enough for that introduction. Very excited to be connected with you specifically because I've been seeing your work, and I know we have that alignment in terms of wavelength on what we want to do, what we want to achieve on LinkedIn or through our socials. That is to help people to add value to the community. So, just a basic introduction. I've been in the industry, HR industry, for around 9 years, and it has been in Pakistan. Have worked on different portfolios, different departments across top organizations in Pakistan, such as Engro, Food Panda, which is owned by Delivery Hero, based in Germany, and then previously K Electric as well. Graduated from LUMS in 2014, and my journey is defined by how I add value to the people around me, specifically because I've been working in HR. So, specifically, it's around interviewing skills, job hunt, um, uh, personality build up, uh, image build up in the corporate world, and general philosophical touch as well in terms of how to lead lives and how to manage crisis, especially because we live in Pakistan, which unfortunately or fortunately every day is a new crisis, which we have to handle. That's why we are resilient people. So that is a basic intro, and I'm sure the questions that you have, I'll be able to pass on some knowledge through my experience. So looking forward to it.
Umar, I must say one thing, and that is another thing which really impresses me. I know a lot of career coaches, myself as well. I claim myself as a career coach on LinkedIn, on YouTube. But there is an angle of monetization that we all are looking for, and I assume you have some of that as well. But you have a philanthropic angle to what you do as well. And I've messaged you before as well, which is I really admire that you just don't use your forum for doing what you claim to do, which is career coaching. But there is also philanthropy that you do through your LinkedIn, through your YouTube, which is just amazing. Like for me, yes, I donate money. Yes, I help people out here and there. But using such a big and important forum where you can just look into monetization alone, but using that for philanthropic work is just amazing. So once again, thank you for that, and I just wanted to call that out as well.
Thank you. And just to add to that, because since a lot of viewers will be watching this, so the idea is to help people around you, uh, किसी भी means के through. It doesn't matter if it's financial, if it's something else, if it's about giving a job to someone. Anyone who needs help, anyone who reaches out to you, you can be late in replying to those messages, but if you can contribute in the position that you are in right now, because that means that you're blessed if you're able to help someone. So that is how, because LinkedIn, alhamdulillah, has been kind to me. I have a great followership over there. So utilizing that to help someone, trust me, even if you give a good advice to someone for 5 minutes, or you help someone build a good resume, or you help someone find ration for the month, or you help someone pay off their loans, or help someone get married, it changes their life. It might be a very small contribution from your end, and you don't have to contribute financially. You just have to post it, and people around you in your community will reach out to support. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of Pakistan, especially because in this country, I've seen people go out of the way to help if they feel that there's a genuine need. So my message to everyone is, please, it's very easy, and please keep doing it. Just look around yourself. If you find even one person who needs help, start from your own house, the house helps that you have, the people around in your neighborhood, where you work, the people that whoever needs help over there, start helping them. Start funding their children's education, because their children fees is not that much. And that's how you start building community, and that's how people build kindness, and that's how we build a strong society. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Umar, and amazing, and thanks for adding that and especially adding that in the start. So let's get going because you mentioned LinkedIn a couple of times. I mentioned LinkedIn as well. My first question to you is I want to understand how to use LinkedIn, and it's a bit of open-ended question, I know, but let's take two scenarios. There is an individual who's looking for a job. How do they use LinkedIn to find the job they're looking for? And there is an individual who's not looking for a job. Is LinkedIn even relevant for them? And if yes, how should they be using it? So, any thoughts on that?
Great question here, because um, a lot of people now use LinkedIn because of how people have started realizing how it will help them in their career. But a lot of people, even if they have an account, they don't use it properly. And obviously, there are a lot of people who don't use LinkedIn at all. Um, so, how to use LinkedIn is the basic question. Or if there's someone who doesn't use LinkedIn at all, the question is, why should I spend my time on LinkedIn, or how it will help me? See, LinkedIn is like an online CV. If in today's world, if anyone wants to see, if anyone wants to hire, they go to your LinkedIn profile, and they just they judge you basically for those, for that 1 minute or 1.5 minute. They judge you, and they see if is this person the right fit, the right cultural fit, or the right technical knowledge wise fit. That's what they see, and you don't want to miss out on that. LinkedIn provides, that's number one. If you are not on LinkedIn, you're missing out on job opportunities. I'm not saying that as soon as you get on LinkedIn, you will have job opportunities flooded towards your way, but you're missing out on the chance that people or hiring managers will be looking out for you. That's number one. Number two, LinkedIn gives you a space to network. And I know it's a very cliche term, network. आप बोलते हो कि यार, I attend conferences, I am a very social person, I meet. LinkedIn gives you a space to reach out to CEOs of different companies, regardless of the country that you're in. I have interacted with CEOs of big companies which are not even located in Pakistan. I message them, I see a comment that they've posted, I reach out to them, we start a conversation, and I don't want anything out of that person. I don't even know in the future if I'll need anything, or that person might reach out to me for a job. But I am just communicating with that person, and that's how you build a network. One conversation, one good conversation, and the person knows you. And the next time, you never know where your next job opportunity is coming from. So second thing is your networking. Why LinkedIn? Then you build your profile, you mention your credentials, people endorse you. Obviously, in your resume, a lot of people don't put the picture. But on LinkedIn, people get an idea of how polished you are, how cultured you are. It's You might have a different opinion if people should be judged based on LinkedIn profile or CV or not, but you have to understand that this is how a resume is also seen. People get your resume and they judge you and then they call you. It's not like they want to meet you and spend a day with you and then they decide if they want to interview or not. So we have to be realistic in that aspect. So that's why it's very important that you build a profile, you network, you post regularly about the thoughts that you have. अब इस पे ये चीज़ आती है, people say okay, I don't know what to post about, I don't know if people will follow me or not. It's not about people following you, it's about the people that you're connected with. Do they know what your mind is, how mature you are, how thoughtful you are, what kind of technical knowledge do you carry? uh, that's why you start posting. And if you can't post, if you don't have any thoughts, if you don't have that expertise, or if you feel that you don't have, you start commenting. So for example, if Beros posts something, I will comment on it and I'll be like, okay, great thought, and this is what I feel I want to add to it. It's not necessary that Beros will reply to it, but it's just that I've made my contribution, and that's how people start noticing you. Trust me, you do this for 2 weeks, and the community will know that, oh, there's this person Umar who comments, and yaar iski baat achhi hoti hai, and they start following you. People are very open that way on LinkedIn. It's not Facebook, it's not Instagram, it's not Twitter. It's purely profession. It's purely a professional space where अच्छा यहाँ मैंने एक और चीज़ देखी, people are also very respectable relatively, because their profiles are there, their credentials are there. They don't want to, be that person who is going mad commenting weird stuff on everyone's posts or sending weird messages all the time. So this is how you connect, this is how you network, this is how you build your profile, and this is how you get your next job. That's how I see LinkedIn. And again, like Beroz mentioned, for me LinkedIn is not just because alhamdulillah I've been blessed with a great career so far. So मेरे लिए शायद इतना मैटर नहीं करता. Everyone has a different way to approach LinkedIn. मेरे लिए ज़्यादा मैटर करता है because the network that I have, how do I add value? I remember when COVID happened, I think thousands of people lost their jobs, and that's when I started my YouTube channel, and I started going live on LinkedIn. And trust me, the response was thousands of people. They're like, "Yeah, I've lost my job. What do I do?" And I started telling them, "Yeah, interview is tarah do, resume is tarah banao, dress up is tarah karo, how to reach out to your network, how to reach out to HR people, how to reach out to hiring managers." And the response was great. And by the response, I don't mean कि followership मेरी बढ़ गई थी. The response means कि लोगों की actually help होकर उनकी job लगने लगती है. And that's what is linked. That's how I define LinkedIn: helping people and adding value. So it depends on you what stage of a career you are on, what help do you need. But this is what is LinkedIn for me. And I urge people to, if they're not active on LinkedIn, to be active, because you never know where your next opportunity is coming from, and the people that you meet. Like, just look at it. Beroz and I, we haven't met in person ever, and we didn't even know of each other 2 महीने पहले तक, but we connected, yeah, LinkedIn के through, YouTube के through. YouTube से ज़्यादा LinkedIn, because YouTube पे I don't post, or we don't post regularly, but LinkedIn पे it's like almost like a daily thing, and that's how we connected. So that's a great relationship. That's a great way of, and life is short. You keep thinking, यार मेरे पास बहुत काम है, मेरे पास बहुत चीज़ें हैं कंप्लीट करने को, and rightfully so, everyone has different responsibilities. But don't forget that one day we won't be here, and 2 3 years people will mourn, and then they will move on because everyone is busy. What will be remembered is what you did to the society and how you added value, and that's how I see LinkedIn.
Beautiful, Umar. Amazing. Just a few reflections. One is with regards to the question you said, people ask me what to post about. And I'm sure the things you were posting as well were like very obvious to you. But what is obvious to you is a lot of time amazing to others. So just try it out. Try, even if you think it's very obvious, everyone would be knowing it. How to dress for an interview sounds like something very obvious. But there are a lot of people who need that kind of help. So help them out just by doing those posts. One more thing is, now because I want to move towards how to get a job, is when I started my LinkedIn profile update and I started posting a lot, I wasn't looking for a job. But suddenly I started to see a lot of recruiters reaching out to me. And initially, for the first few days, I wasn't able to create the link. And later I realized it's what's happening is, since I'm posting a lot, my profile is showing up on more and more searches. And that is why recruiters are seeing my profile and they're reaching out to me. So if you think that in a year's time, in a few months' time, or a few weeks' time, you will be in the market looking for a job, it is a good way to start just being more active on LinkedIn, so you start showing up more on results. So by the time it's the right time, maybe there is a, it's like being ready for luck to come, right? So you kind of start posting, you start creating your profile, showing it upwards, and as soon as there is an opportunity that comes in, they'll reach out to you. Now, Umar, moving on to the next question, which is talking about the how to get a job and using LinkedIn. One basic way or formula is there's a job opening which shows up on LinkedIn in XYZ company, and you press apply. I know how to do that. Everyone knows how to do that. Is there anything else one should be doing using LinkedIn to make sure that their chances of getting that particular job which has shown up is higher and higher?
Great question, Beroz. Again, so for me, getting a job through LinkedIn is not as easy as pressing that button that you want to apply for that job. Um, if you're in the same country where you have your work permit or where you're a national, the companies might reach out to you. But from personal experience, I can tell you, and from people that I've communicated with, if you keep applying to countries abroad, so for example in Pakistan, if you apply to Dubai or Canada or Australia, or if you're in US, keep applying for jobs in Canada or Europe, for example, you might not get an answer because of XYZ reasons, because they don't want someone who they have to fund for the work permit, etc. So the assumption is that you're applying for the job that um, is in the country that you live. Once you apply, it goes to the LinkedIn recruiter tool, and the recruiters, they have an option to filter through the different credentials that you have, and then they see what exactly is the requirement. So for what are the main things that they're looking for: years of experience, title, education, sometimes any endorsements that you have. That's how they filter. They have at least 10 to different data points on every applicant, and that's how they reach out. So they filter, and then they reach out to, let's say, the top 5 applicants. So that's one way. Second thing, which I feel is more important to know and works well, is you need to have a strong network on LinkedIn. By strong network, I mean, who are the people who post jobs? It's mostly HR. Even in HR, not everyone is posting jobs. So I'm an HRBP, I don't post jobs. There's a talent acquisition team, so you need to find out who the manager talent acquisition is, who the assistant manager talent acquisition, who is the talent acquisition officer, for example. And you need to see, you need to have them in your network. Those are the people who are posting jobs. Those are the people who can can get you to the first round, trust me. And you, that's the first part. You get them, you get to connect with them. Second, even if you message them, don't start with "I need a job, will you help me?" or um, "I've been unemployed for 9 months, I need a job, just find any job," because you are a recruiter. Don't start with this, because they get thousands of messages, such messages. Even if someone reaches out to you in this manner, obviously you are a busy person. You have 9 to 10 hours of professional life, then you have your personal life, and then you can't expect that person to reply to every message of this kind. What you need to do is you need to contribute to the post that the content that they share on LinkedIn, the any conversation that they make. And even if you reach out to their inbox, just try to build a conversation, try to be different. Don't talk about jobs straight away. Just because the other person is also making an image of you, and the other person is actually doing a favor if they respond to you, because LinkedIn, they're not obliged to respond to everyone. They will respond to you if they feel, yeah, this person is making an effort, or this person is different, or this person actually wants something else. It's not about a job, it's just about some information, or just to share of knowledge or whatever. That's how you build your network. If you have a network, if you have someone who respects you, even if virtually, and someone who's well known in the online circle that is on LinkedIn, you will see that your chances of getting a job, or your chances of recruiters reaching out to you or replying to you, increase. I can guarantee you that, versus a person who doesn't do anything, who just goes on in the DMs and writes, "I need a job." That's how you increase your chances of getting a job. And thirdly, again, which is linked to the second part, my So I started working at K Electric. They came to my university. I was lucky enough to get a job in the training program. But my second job in Engro, it was randomly. I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and a friend was sitting with me, and while scrolling, she mentioned, "Did you see that there was someone had posted? There was a one-liner about an HR officer needed in Engro Corp, and I had missed it." And she said, and there was like 1,000 likes and 500 comments and etc. Because everyone was applying on it, um, and that's how I got to know about the job. It wasn't posted. That person was in my network, thankfully, and after I got to know, then I saw, okay, who are the contacts in this company, who are the mutuals that I have in this company who can help me out. That's the third part. Because once there's a position, let's say in Amazon, right, in New York, and once you know about that position, you see, okay, who's the person working in HR? Do I have any friend? Do I have any person, or even on LinkedIn, who works in Amazon? I'll reach out to the person. I'll request, can you please pass on my resume, because these are my skill sets and this is the requirements, and I think I can add great value to Amazon. When people see this person is requesting and this person is actually making an effort, they help you out. Even if they don't, doesn't matter, you reach out to other people. But the point is, this is how you approach. Getting a job is not easy. It's not a piece of cake. It's not like you get on LinkedIn and you will get a job. For me, I've posted it on my YouTube channel as well. For the past 3 years, I've been saying the same thing. For me, it's a combination of factors. It's your resume, it's your LinkedIn branding, it's the way you give your interviews, about your soft and technical skills. It's a combination. It's your luck as well, being cultural fit to the company. So this is how I would approach. If I don't have a job today, this is how I would approach to get a job on LinkedIn. These three things.
Cool. No, Omar, this is amazing. Just one reflection I had, which is when people reach out to me on LinkedIn, the one thing which gets me to respond to them is when they go about talking with regards to any post that I made. Hey, Barrows, I read this post about something that you posted. This was amazing. And they'll just build one more cent to it. And then they talk about what help they need and go further
Exactly.
to, we would like to connect and all. And it's just human nature, right? If someone talks about, hey, Umar, I like your work, you're so amazing, this and that, and I really find you inspiring, you feel good, right? You as like you're 1 foot taller now, and you want to help the guy who's reach out to you because one, they were listening to you, they were reading your stuff, and they find it inspiring, which just makes you feel good. And once you start feeling good, it's good to help people out versus just saying, hey, just help me.
Exactly. And just to add to it, because I remember the podcast that I had with you earlier, I remember one thing that you mentioned that was great. You start from a position of relevance, right? So if you want to network with someone, and if you want to see what are the common things. Is there, for example, if there's a common university, common hobby, um, common workplace, mutual friend, you start from there. Or like Beroz mentioned right now, your anything that you liked. And now that Beroz mentioned it, I'm thinking that people who reach out, when they start with, oh, I've been following you for, let's say, 3 years, I'm amazed by the work that you're doing. It's a standard line. But up the approach changes, because you're like, this person, I have a connection with this person, right? And I can't
Yeah.
not reply to this person. I have to help this person. And it's human nature. It's not like I don't want to reply to people. It's just that when I prioritize, I will reply to that person first, and I'll make sure that I can do the maximum that I can do.
Cool. Thank you, much. So now I am on LinkedIn, let's say. I found a job, I found a contact, I reached out to them, they responded back, and they said, pass me on your resume. So I'm coming to the resume part, which is I pass them on my resume, but how do I get my resume shortlisted? And I know resume is like a subject or a full book in itself, which is how you write a resume, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all. But if you can give some tips just to cover for now in our podcast with regards to what are the do's and don'ts with regards to resume, how to make sure it gets shortlisted.
Sure. As in HR, so I'll take this angle. So I'm a recruiter. I've been working in HR. I have posted a job, and I have gotten 20 resumes, and I need to shortlist 5 in the interest of time. And as an HR recruiter, my job is to give the best profiles to the hiring manager. I can't have profiles that are not solid. So I need to shortlist them. I would see, in my life, I haven't given more than 2 to 3 minutes to a resume. And not because I don't want to read it, it's just that what I want to know about the person, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I don't want to read the entire thing. I want to know what is the relevant experience, relevant education. Obviously, for young professionals, education matters more, but as you move up the career, it's more about what experience do you have. um, I also look at the hobbies, like if does the person have a life outside work, because I want that person to be a cultural fit to my organization. um, Obviously want to see where the person lives in terms of the operational part of selecting for a job. These are the main things that I look, right? But the main thing is the skill set that is required for the job. And as a person who's applying for a job, how do you get to know if the skill set is relevant? You get to know by the JD that the company posts. Almost all big companies, I think 95%, at least the companies, the jobs that I see, have at least some sort of JD mentioned when they post. They specifically mention this is what we require, this is the skill set that we want, even if it's copy pasted from Chat GPT or other job descriptions, but they still mention it. What you need to do as an individual, you need to ensure that the top half, the first half of your resume, whether it's one page or two pages, the first half needs to have your best information. If you want your university to be highlighted, if you want your grades to be highlighted, great, move up to the first part of the resume. If you think your objective, your which I feel personally that your objective, your first liner or your top two three lines that you give when a person starts reading the resume, those are really important, because that's a way of, that's like a pickup line for the recruiters. The first two three lines, you mention something about yourself that can attract yeah, this is something different, this person thinks beyond his or her horizon, something like that. This person is very sure what the person skill sets are, what the person wants to do. So start with that. If you're very sure about your education, something that you want to highlight, you put that, or you can put that in the end. But move on to your relevant experience, because in the relevant experience section, you mention exactly what the JD requires. So if the JD says I want an experienced accounts professional with solid experience in, let's say, dashboards, just for example, you mention what you have done in that specific set with numbers. And if in your past experience you've done work financial modeling, for example, if you've done work relevant to financial modeling, you mention what did you do, what was the impact, and to try to put that in numbers. So that should be your aim. Whatever is relevant in the JD, you mention that in the skill set that you have, with in terms of in your past experience or current professional experience. That's the main thing that I teach people, and that I follow. Because for the recruiter, you need to understand recruiter is a person as well. He she doesn't have a lot of time. He she needs to shortlist resumes. He or she just needs to be sure that whoever I'm going for knows his or her stuff. And because that's a bet the recruiter is taking on you. If you give the right information, if you give the relevant information, only then the recruiter will take a bet on you. So please stop copy pasting resumes for all different kind of jobs. Whenever you apply for a job, make sure that you see the JD, just give it 5-10 minutes, make some changes, and then send your resume. That's your best bet to get your resume shortlisted.
Got it, Umar. Amazing, and thank you. Now, I have a question related to resume, and I want you to pick. I hope you'll pick a side, and black and white. A one-page resume or a two-page resume. And it's okay, you don't pick a side. Like I'm just putting pressure on you, but if you have a point of view, would love to know.
I think one page resume works for people who have less than 10 years of experience. In my opinion, one page is perfectly fine. Two pages you can go. There is no, I haven't read any law that states that you can't go to two pages. People follow that. And but generally, if you have a lot of experience that you need to show your skill set that can't fit in one page, you go to two pages. But in my mind, I would stick to one page if you have less than 10 years of experience, because you need to highlight your best and most relevant skill set. You don't need to highlight everything since the time you got into college or got into your professional experience, because the recruiter doesn't want to know. Even if you mention the experience and you don't put a lot of explanation regarding your experience, you don't highlight it, because the problem is you need to show your best side and get called for an interview. Once you get to the interview, you can mention it. But if you show everything on the resume, that okay, at least something will the recruiter will like, that's not how it works. So for me, one page is good, but two pages, that's also fine. I don't mind that.
Cool. Umar, you just saved us from like a 5-10 minute debate, which we would have had if you would have taken the two-page side strongly, which you didn't. And I have 17, 18 years of experience. I have one-page resume. And I exactly make the same point, which is you said you spend 2 minutes to go through a resume. By the way, that is even a lot. You're being generous to spend that much time on a document. At best, people have time to read the first part. And if you don't make a mark in the first part, balance of the resume, even if there are 10 pages, no one will read it. And you rightly said, which is something very nice. And if I have to say it slightly different, which is typically speaking, you have like five top highlights in your life. Be it you having a 10-year of experience or 18-year of experience. The top highlights will always be those top five highlights. If I have a two-page resume, I'll end up putting 10 highlights. And then the recruiter has to sift through what the top five are. How about I give it a thought? I say, okay, these are the top five. If I just put this in front of the guy, and if these top five are the ones which he's able to see in my resume, that will give me the job. Then just have that one line resume which has those five achievements, and that's it. I'm exaggerating by saying one line, but what I mean is have it as short as possible so they can identify, locate those five things that you want them to see, and
Yeah.
that's it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's irrelevant.
Make it easy for the recruiter. Make it easy. Once the recruiter gets done with your resume, he or she should be able to pick top two or three things and should be confident about it. If you make it more difficult for the person by cramming everything possible that you have done in your life, the recruiter will also be confused. Okay, should I go for this person or not? That's uh, it's about the image. When you meet a person, it's about the image, right? How you portray yourself. That's what a resume is doing for you. It's how you are portrayed when a person reads it. Optics.
Good. And Umar, two more questions around resume. One is I've seen people adding a skill section, which is a section which is called skills, and then they have bullets. Any point of view around that? And again, no pressure here because I don't have a site, but I just want to hear and learn from you.
For skills, so definitely, like I mentioned, either you can mention through your relevant experience what skill set you have, or if you want to mention something that is you haven't done in your relevant experience or your professional experience, but you have a skill set, you need to mention it separately. So for example, I get a job that says talent and management lead at an XYZ company. I'm an HRBP. As an HRBP, I work as a generalist. I work on every aspect. But what they are looking for is an experienced talent and management lead who has XYZ who has done XYZ certification, uh, SHRM certification, for example, on talent management, or a CIPD certification. Now, in my job for the past 2 years, I haven't done anything of this sort. Generally, I've been into talent management, who works full time, day in, day out on talent and management aspects of the entire organization. That is something I haven't done. So what I'll do is I'll mention my experience, but I'll mention a skills section, say SHRM certified in talent management. I'm just giving an example because SHRM is a global, or CIPD is a global HR certification, well-renowned HR certification board. So that's what I mentioned. Only that aspect will give me an edge. Once if the recruiter reads that, he or she would know, okay, this person is certified. That means he has this kind of skill set. And similarly, if it's about, for example, job evaluation certification by Corn Ferry, or it's about Power BI certification, it's about Python or Tableau certification on data analytics, anything. Even if I'm not doing in my current job, that will give me an edge. So a lot of jobs require, they say Arabic speaking or French speaking, basic understanding of French. I'm not doing that in my current job, but in my skills section, I'll mention that. So it's about the skills, and it's about what. value you can add. And if you get ever confused about the concept that I'm trying to say, just think, if you are hiring someone, what will, in the end of the day, what will you look at? You'll say, yeah, can this person do the job? Can this person do? That means, does this person have that skill set? And by the way, skill set doesn't have to be technical skill set. It's about the leadership and the behavioral part as well. If you're so sure about, uh, for example, train the trainer program, in which you portray yourself as a great trainer who can teach people, who can pass on the knowledge, who's a great communicator, who can make slides, who can present well. That is an essential trait of being in a leadership position in any company in the world. You mentioned that in the skill section. So to cut it short, very important skill section.
Thank you, Umar. Umar, on resume, I have one last question, which is, and this is just me being a bit naughty as well, asking this question. How important is GPA for getting a good job? And the reason I'm asking is, I know this, I don't know if you've really given it a thought or not, but I've recently given it some thought. And maybe it's just because I've achieved kind of career which I wasn't expecting, and it's more than I wanted for my life, and I'm really happy with it. And now I kind of think GPA is secondary, tertiary, and but I just wanted to pick your opinion, given you're more close to it. You read resumes, you select resumes based on that. How important and relevant is a good GPA?
Great question, Beroz, and you've given me a new topic to discuss tomorrow on LinkedIn. Um it's a topic very close to my heart, because I'll share my thought with an example from my life. First, we need to understand what exactly is GPA. So, what does GPA show? What does GPA mean? GPA is a cumulative grade point average of 4 years of the studies that you do and the marks that you get in a class. What does getting an A or B grade in a class constitute? Your class participation. It has like 10-15% weightage normally in institutes. Then you have obviously your grades, 50-60%, the quizzes, the exams that you give, 10-15% is attendance. For me, that what does that mean? As a corporate person, what does that mean? That means discipline. First of all, if a person gets an A, you can't take away the fact that the person was disciplined. That person took this thing seriously, and regardless whatever he learned, whether it was ratification or critical thinking or whatever, we'll get into that. That person was disciplined. That person completed a task greatly, whatever it was. So first, for me, GPA, if a person has a high GPA, that person is a well disciplined person. And that doesn't mean that a person with a 2.5 out of 4 GPA is an ill disciplined person. But a person who has a 2 or less than 2, for me, that person wasn't able to cope with the expectation. Now the question comes, okay, whatever you do in a university, or whatever you read, or whatever you study in the classroom might not be applicable in the corporate world. So why does it matter? Yes, I agree to that. There are a lot of subjects that you go through, that you give exams on, that will never be asked in the corporate setting. But that's not the point. The point is, you do a lot of things in the corporate world that you've never studied, but you excel in it. A high performer, whatever, you are a finance professional, Veros, but I can tell, in 10 days, if you're given a task which is related to HR or supply chain, I know you will excel it, because of the behavioral traits that you carry. And that's what you measure from a GPA. So now it's established that, that stigma that you have high GPA, so that doesn't mean you're a great person or a great performer. That is outside of the conversation right now. The point is, when it comes to putting a cutoff when hiring on GPAs, is that good or is that bad? For me, that's bad. Why? Because GPA is one indicator of the person being disciplined, or the person being great at class participation, or maybe the person being great at communication. But I don't know for sure if the person is great at teamwork. I don't know if the person is great at presentation skills. I don't know if the person can lead or not. Does this person have leadership qualities? um, I don't know if this person is a cultural fit. dresses up appropriately, has that knack to work in a corporate setting, or has that knack to adapt. These are so for me, soft skills. Generally, you are not able to catch that from a great GPA, and you will find people with 2.2 GPA who might not be greatly disciplined but will be great at soft skills, and sometimes they get the work done. And that's where the conversation begins. There are so many dropouts in the world who are doing great in their life. Now, I'm not advising people to drop out or not to study. I'm just pointing out to a simple thing, that what took them further in life. Was it the soft skills, or was it the technical knowledge? It depends person to person. Soft skills eventually in a corporate setting, or even in your own business, or even in your personal relationships. Soft skills, what does soft skills mean? Leadership, adaptability, teamwork, communication, presentation skills. This is a communication skill. This is what they took them far in life. But technical knowledge, they weren't good at it, but they eventually learned. They got serious in life. So this is the distinction. I know it's a thin line, but for me, a person with a low GPA, I would still interview the person. I would still give that person a shot, uh, with caveat in mind that I need to be sure that this person is disciplined. But a person with a very high GPA, I will not be 100% confident that I need to give this person a job unless I've tested the behavioral aspect or the soft skill aspect of this person. So this is the distinction. As an HR professional, it's a very difficult answer to give, but this is how I see it.
Cool, thank you. I'll share with you my point of view, and which is I think similar to what you said. I do believe, and I love what you said about discipline. That is, I took a note of it as well because it kind of it's a proof of you being disciplined. You were showing up to one place because at workplace as well, you have to show up at 9 o'clock, be there, work, contribute, be a team player, and then go home by 5. Right. So you have to show up, do the job that you're given, which is a proof which GPA kind of substantiates as a proof to that. The one thing I wanted to point out is the range. So a 4 GPA versus a 3 GPA, let's say. 4 is like max 4 out of 4, and 3 is like 3 out of 4. And here, my point of view is I was reading a book, I think it was by Fareed Zakaria, on something related to liberal education. And there he makes a point that you need a certain IQ, but you don't need to be Einstein. I think Einstein's IQ was never calculated, but it's estimated to be some 160, let's say. But if you have an IQ which is, let's say, and I'll throw a number, I don't know the exact numbers, but if you have an IQ above 100, it's good. But from 100 to 120, the extra IQ you get doesn't bring you more value, because once you're above the cutoff, then you need other things. Like you said, you need teamwork, you need the soft skills. You don't need to be 160 and be a person who's not a team player, a person who's difficult to talk to, difficult to contribute. Because I also say that when people are hiring, they're not hiring the experts. They're hiring someone who can come and fit in the wall as a brick to support the wall. You can be the best, you can be a gold brick. But if you cannot fit in the wall, which is made of, let's say, sand brick or mud bricks or whatever the other form is, you will not get hired. You're not the good resource. I also kind of say, like, it's like hiring Elon Musk. Elon Musk, one of the smartest guy, richest guy in the world. But I would not hire him in my team because I know he will not come and fit in my team where he can contribute and be a team player just because the kind of person or the individual he is, or at least he's portrayed on the media. So yeah, thank you for that answer, by the way.
And just to add to that, because I mentioned the example, I forgot to mention it. Alhamdulillah, I got straight A's in O levels, straight A's in A levels. I ended up at a great university, but I ended up with a 2.7 GPA. And I saw my friends, peers, getting into the best corporates in Pakistan because they had a cutoff 3. Mostly corporates had a cutoff of 3, and I was missing out on that. And I didn't know how to show them that I have been a great student. It's just that I messed up my first semester, and because it's a cumulative one, I got a 1.5 in my first semester because I couldn't adapt. But eventually I started getting 3, 3.5, 3.2. But because it was a cumulative one, the average every semester, every year, the average, inch by inch used to go up. But I could never reach 3 because I couldn't do well in the first semester. So as a recruiter, as a smart, as a mature recruiter, I will see what was the journey. And as people, if you have been through this situation in life, people who are applying for jobs, as long as you can show progress, as long as you can show that you fell down and you struggle to get up, trust me, the other person, a mature person, a mature manager, will look for it and will probably hire you as well, because they saw you, because they see your journey and they see that you fell and you got up. There's no leader in the world, there's no one who is successful in the world right now who hasn't fallen. But what matters is how you get up. And that's what you need to communicate in your interview. Don't be afraid, "Yeah, my GPA is 2.2 or 2.5 or 2.6." Be sure what is the story that you want to tell around it, because that's what will mesmerize the interviewer, and that's what you will, inshallah, will be the basis of how you get a job.
Cool. Thank you, Umar. Umar, I have two more topics to discuss with you, but since we are running out of time, so we'll have a podcast two or podcast three as well with that, which is around how do we go about acing the interview. So we talked about how we use LinkedIn, how we get our resumes shortlisted, and now comes the stage of interviewing. So I want to talk to you about interviewing. So I'll catch you on a separate podcast for that. And also, after you've interviewed, you've cleared, you're in the organization, how do you succeed in your career? That is another topic I want to talk. So thanks for joining. One last question I have for you before we call it a day, which is where can people reach out to you?
LinkedIn. I might not be able to respond immediately, but I make it a point that every Sunday I spend some time replying to the messages, or whenever I get time.
Cool. Thank you, Umar. Thanks for joining.
Pleasure.